Welcome back, McManus MMA fam. I know I'm very tardy to this party. I had a very busy last winter break of my entire life. I was spending time with the family and such, but forget it. We're here now. This is the McManus MMA UFC 2025 awards. I picked out some categories. I left some out because I didn't want this video to be too long because I know I'll give some honorable mentions to things I want to talk about at the very end. But you know what? Let's get it started. Fight of the year. I'm starting with fight of the year, man. I'm starting this whole thing with fight of the year, man. I don't care. So my picks for fight of the year were Petr Yan versus Merab 2, and we have JDM versus Bilal. We have Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van, and then I had to put Merab versus Umar because I'm sorry I put two Merab fights. I tried not to overlap as much as I could, but listen, man, I got to talk about some of these fights. So going one by one, Merab, Petr Yan, absolutely incredible performance from Petr Yan, and we saw the machine break. This was banger fight. Everybody knows this was an absolutely incredible way to end the year, the last pay-per-view ever. This was amazing. JDM versus Bilal. I really don't like Bilal Muhammad, so this was really awesome to see. And JDM put on an absolutely incredible performance, beating the shit out of Bilal Muhammad. Then we have Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval. Stepping in on very short notice, Joshua Van steps up and fights the number one contender and goes to war with him. Arguably loses the second round and is starting to lose the third until the last 10 seconds when he gets a knockdown and wins the fight, becoming the number one contender and getting a fight with the champion Alessandro Pantoja. I almost said Alessandro Topuria. That would have been embarrassing. And then we have Merab versus Umar. Everybody thought, including me, that Umar was going to win this fight, and Merab just showed us why he's that great. And I got to go. I got to talk about my winner here. I think this is fairly obvious. I got Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval winning this one. Listen, I was in attendance for this fight, and I have never been more excited in my entire life. Everybody, during the third round, not a single person was sitting down anywhere near me. Everybody was standing, going ballistic. This was one of the most entertaining fights that I've seen in person and just in general. This was absolute war and the absolute plotline of Joshua Van marauding his way all the way to the top like this. How can you not have this as fight of the year? I can understand a couple other ones, but really think about this. This is fight of the year. No question in my mind. No question in my mind. Moving on to my next award. I have KO of the year. I censored it for you guys, don't worry. So I have Mauricio Rufi versus King Green, UFC 313. I have Carlos Pradas knocking out Leon Edwards at 322. I have Yuri Prohaska knocking out Khalil Roundtree Jr. at 320. And then I have Ilia Topuria using AI to beat Charles Oliveira. Yeah. I have to censor that. I can't. We can't talk about that one. So this was a really tough one for me. This was a really tough one, especially to narrow this down to four. I had a couple honorable mentions. Honorable mentions, I'd like to say Carlos Pratas over Geoff Neal, Aaron Pico getting slimed out by that cat Lerone Murphy. Mictec Oralby over Jack Hermanson was another one that I thought about. That was a really great one. And also Gregory Rodriguez over Jack Hermanson was another one that I thought of that came to mind. There were a lot of fights that came to mind, but these are the four that I picked for the best KO of the year. This one's difficult, man. Mauricio Rufi, wheel kicking King Green. Everybody hates King Green. Most people hate King Green. I hate King Green. This was a spectacular finish. This was the first UFC event I ever attended. Me and my father and my brother were there, and this was an absolutely spectacle. This was a spectacle. This was a spectacle. This was an absolute spectacle. I can't put into words how electric the place was, but watching this fight back again, this is a really, really incredible performance and an amazing knockout. Moving on to Carlos Pratas versus Leon Edwards. This is one that we kind of not all, but most people predicted that this was going to happen. And the first round with the build-up, and then just the way that this happened, just a straight punch, making Leon literally fly off the ground. He flew like a cartoon character, and then was seeing stars, having his head spin and smile. That was so brutal and so out of nowhere. Just a jab, just a normal left hand puts him out. And then we have Yuri Prohaska over Khalil Roundtree. This was just war into the third round. The third round was war, and then the way that it just became belt to ass, and Yuri was able to belt to ass Khalil and just drop him like that and have him fold was just crazy. And I think the brutality of the Ilya KO is definitely a reason it's here. It was so brutal. It was so shocking. I was in attendance for this fight as well, and I did cry. I will let you know. You can see this, the photo in the middle here for this. This is me before the fight, wearing my Charles Oliveira gear. I was so excited, and my day was ruined. But I've got to pick one. I can't just talk about how awesome a lot of these knockouts are, but I got to pick one, and I'm going with Leon and Carlos Pratas. I'm going with Leon getting slimed. I was very very close to picking King Green getting slimed out by Mauricio Rufy, but I think the cartoonish way that Leon was knocked out here, and the dominant performance that Carlos Pratas put on a former champion, somebody that as trash as we and as much as we control Leon, like this dude was a champion at a time, and he beat Kamaru Usman twice, he beat Colby Covington, and then he got slimed by Bilal, which whatever. And I know Leon's having a downfall right now, but this was shocking. This was shocking, brutal. This was crazy. This was a crazy knockout, cartoonish as hell. So I'm giving it to this one. This was an absolutely spectacular knockout. Moving on to my next award, Plotline of the Year. And now for this award, I have the plotline that kind of carried throughout the year, and some of these may still be ongoing, but some of the way that these plot lines were built up throughout the year and concluded at the end of the year, because most of these did conclude at the end of the year. So I have Joshua Van's from unranked contender to champion. Yeah, man. I mean, what else do you want me to say about that one? That one was a spectacular plotline. I know that him the way he won the championship, the way he won the belt, may have not been how he wanted it to go, but still, we have to think about how this happened in a year. In a year, 4 fights this year, I believe, and he became champion. It was incredible. And then we have Alex Pereira winning the belt back. We all wanted to see this happen. We all hate Ankalaev. Little Ank got humbled so hard, and it was amazing. It was amazing. The build-up before this fight, once it was announced, the no shama, and their interactions, and everything after Little Ank had won the belt against at 313 earlier this year. All his shit talking on Twitter. I know that's probably Ali Abdil, but still, all of that built up to this plotline, and it concluded in such a spectacular way. And then we have BSD's fluke run this year. I believe he did I think three fights this year he won. Maybe I'm missing one, but the last two were ridiculous. Submitting Mauricio Rufy in a dominant performance. Mauricio Rufy looked like shit in that fight, and then absolutely fluking a win over the poor man Beneil Dariush. People forget Beneil Dariush was totally winning. He was 100% winning that fight before he got knocked out in 16 seconds. And then we have Merab's championship reign this year. 4 title defenses. I know he lost the belt at the very end of the year in the last pay-per-view, but still, that plot line was crazy. The Sandhagen fight, the O'Malley fight, and the Umar fight were all this year as well, and those were spectacular. So I gotta pick one, and I'm sorry. If you know me, you know who I'm picking with. The Joshua Van supremacy, bro. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try my best not to glaze Joshua Van so much in this video, but I love Joshua Van. I have something I'd like to admit as well, that I'm not biased, but this did happen. He's talked about it. I don't know if you've seen his social media. He was in Indianapolis celebrating his win, and I was there. I got to meet Joshua Van, and there's a photo of me and Joshua Van. I don't know if I'll post that, but maybe I'll crop some people out and I'll post that photo. But I met Joshua Van. We had a really really great heartfelt conversation. He said that he loves the channel and that he's gonna donate to us, and he's a big fan. No. But I did meet Joshua Van, and I got to celebrate his victory with him. I know that we didn't get to see him win and a dominant performance over Pantoja, but I believe we'll see that fight happen again soon. But this plotline this year, I was following from the beginning. I was at 313 when he fought. I was there for his fight at 317, and I was seated for every other fight before that. This was absolutely incredible. This was a movie tier run we had. Joshua Van, and it's not over. We are retaining this belt in 2026. Moving on, comeback of the year. This is the fight where someone was losing and they came back in a crazy way. So obviously we have Yuri versus Khalil. Yuri arguably lost the first 2 rounds of that 3-rounder and then comes back with a KO in the 3rd round. Then I have Ethan Ewing over Malcolm Wellmaker. Um, a lot of the comeback for this one comes in before the fight. Everybody was counting this dude out, and he showed up on very, very short notice and showed us that this prospect that the UFC had been hyping up is just a man. And then I have Lerone Murphy over Aaron Pico because I believe that Aaron Pico was winning that fight before he got slimed out. I really did. I really did. I was in attendance for this fight, and I believe that in my heart of hearts, Aaron Pico was winning, and he was on my parlay. Yes, I know. We all get stumped by these guys. And then I have Charles Johnson over Loner Kavanaugh. Loner Kavanaugh was winning. Also another like crazy hype prospect that I thought looked incredible, and then he just gets slimed out. That was a shocking one that really caught me off guard, and I've remembered it ever since. And I hope we see Loner Kavanaugh come back. But my comeback of the year, guys, it's Yuri. It's Yuri over Khalil Roundtree Jr. This fight was the second this fight was announced. We all knew that this was going to be an absolute barn-burning war. This was going to be an incredible fight, and it did. I wouldn't say it lived up to the standards. It blew him out of the water. This was one of the most memorable, one of the most incredible fights of the entire year. And Yuri's, taking shots. It was necessary. I must take damage before the fight there. I had to take some strikes so I could get angry at him. It was necessary. That's insane. And the 3rd round, he came out and he showed us why he's going to beat Carlos Ulberg for the vacant title. That's the GOAT. That's the GOAT. Yeah, man. I mean, everybody who's seen this fight knows. I hope you guys can understand my picks here because this absolutely incredible. Moving on, round of the year, the single round of the year that was, the best. I don't know, the best round of the year. So I have Joshua Van, Brendan Royval, round 3. Obviously, this was one of the most insane rounds ever. Joshua Van wins the fight in the last 10 seconds. Yeah, it's a spectacular fight. I know I've talked about it. I'll glaze it to the end of the earth. And then we have Ebo versus Iwo, round 1. This was like a 2-minute round maybe, and there was like 7 knockdowns. It was ridiculous. I was jumping up and down, going ballistic. Both these guys came to kill, and it was killer. It was Slimer gets slimed, and they were fighting for their lives until the ref had to step in and say, "Okay, you've been knocked down 4 times. I think you're done." And then I have a round 2, I believe. Yeah, round 2. John Silva versus Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez starts to, I don't want to say lose the round, but John Silva started to put the pressure on really heavy and was landing some heavy strikes and was pushing Lopez back, and then Lopez comes out of nowhere with a spinning back elbow and puts John Silva down. Absolutely incredible round. The apartment here was going crazy. And then I have Kyoji Horiguchi. Guys, Kyoji Horiguchi in this fight, round 3. Round 3. I'm telling you, watch this fight. Kyoji Horiguchi versus Tagir Ulanbekov. Round 3, 2 minutes in. He was putting belt to ass over Ulanbekov, and then this round 3 just finally gets him down after beating him up, to shit, and submits him. Absolutely incredible round. But I've got to pick one. And I know what you think it's going to be. But it's not. It's Iwo versus Ebo. This round was so short, but felt like it was years long. This was this was very early on in the card of 323. And I think it was just me and maybe 1 or 2 other people watching this fight, and I was going ballistic. This was one of the most memorable rounds. I mean, people were immediately posting about this, talking about this. This was the craziest round. I really did want to pick round 3 of Joshua Van versus Brendan Royval, but I want to keep my Joshua Van glaze to a minimum. As much as I loved glazing Joshua Van, and I love Joshua Van so much, I want to shine a light on some other things that I think really do deserve some love. And so I got to give Ebo versus Iwo round one, 1 minute and 29 seconds long this round was, and it was insane. Please watch this. If it's a minute and a half, watch this. Watch this first round. Watch this fight. It's ridiculous. Moving on. My most hated fighter of the year. The fighter that I hate so much, and on the channel and in general, I was hating on the most. So I've got MVP, who stunk up the card against Shara Bullet and stunk up the card at 319 against Jared Cannonier. And yes, we were in the audience for that, and we were booing. We were booing Michael Venom Page because this dude sucks. I hate MVP. And they have Cyril Gahn, obviously became one of the most hated fighters ever after 321's disaster. No, I mean, I made a long video about this and how much I hate this guy. And then I've got Waldo Cortez Acosta. A lot of people love this guy and how he's, taking these fights on short notice and he's showing up and he's winning in such ridiculous fashion. I've been hating on this dude on the channel so much. I hate this dude so much. I hate Waldo Cortez Acosta. If he watches this video, sorry, bro. Like, nothing personal, but flukes a win over the future heavyweight champion Shamil Gaziev. Flukes this whole run, starting with Ante Delija, loses the fight, then they go back and they go, oh, he did get eye poked there, we didn't call it, so let's just start it over. What the fuck are we doing? That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And then now he's dragging this whole thing with the eye patch, and now he's going to fight Derek Lewis very soon, which I've got a lot to talk about that card, so get ready for that video soon. I really do not like Waldo Cortez Acosta. And then I hate BSD a lot. I hate Benoit Saint Denis. Not only is he French, but he's also on this fluke run that I will be discrediting, and I will be rooting for Dan Hooker. I will be discrediting this run, and I will be hating on this dude forever. I absolutely hate BSD. One of my favorite moments in the UFC history is seeing this dude get his block knocked off by Dustin Poirier, and also getting mauled by Renato Moicano, the GOAT, Money Moicano. But there can only be one guy that I hate the most, and it's Waldo Cortez Acosta. I fucking hate this guy on the channel so much, and I will continue to hate on this dude. Even if they give him a title shot somehow, I will be hating against this dude. If he wins the belt, I'll be hating against this dude. Sorry, man. I know he's not watching this video, but if somehow this it makes its way, nothing personal. Like if we run into each other, I won't be mad if you chin me immediately. I understand that. That's reasonable. You would kill me. But I'm just angry and I'm bitter, and this was the guy I hated on the most on this channel this year for sure. 100% I hated this guy the most on the channel, and just talking shop with other people in my household. Moving on. Worst fight of the year. There's got to be a worst one. So obviously we've got Cyril Gahn versus Tom Aspinall. What a disaster this fight was. Not only was the fight bad, but everything after the fight is bad. Tom Aspinall is now going to be out for a while, so they got to do an interim belt. And John Jones is talking shit, which nobody likes to see. People think Cyril Gahn is good now. People are discrediting Tom Aspinall. It's like this disaster. Same card. Jailton Almeida versus Alexander Volkov. This was one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my entire life. This was a terrorism against the sport. Horrible, horrible, horrible fight. Only kind of redeemed by the judges literally just saying fuck you to Jailton Almeida's bullshit and just giving it to Volkov, even though he lost that fight. 110% lost that fight. And they give it to Volkov because Jailton Almeida literally just humped him on the ground. Did zero damage, would just take him down and do nothing with it. This is a perfect representation of what that fight was. This position was literally 99% of the fight. Then I've got Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. This screenshot here, you could, if I didn't have the timer there, you'd go, what round is this? This could be any round, because this was pretty much the entire fight. And I thought about putting Islam versus JDM on there, but at least JDM was really defending against these submissions a lot, and I can't defend that. That fight also was really terrible. Just watch kickboxing, bro. Just watch kickboxing. Fuck you. And then I've got DDP versus Strickland 2. This was just a really terrible fight. If you know, you know. This was a really bad fight. Strickland did not look great at all. And it was just a terrible fight. It was a terrible, terrible fight. So, but again, there can only be one. I gotta go with this, obviously. Obviously, I'm sorry. Everybody knew this was coming. Obviously, I'm picking Tom Aspinall getting double fingered in the eye, bowling ball style, and then the shitstorm that happened after it. I mean, I don't even need to go into any more detail. This was a humongous piece of shit. Yeah, I gotta move on. I believe this is our last. This is our last award. Yes, you can see that there's one of these things is not like the other. So Joshua Van, obviously, incredible plot line this year, all the way to champion. Fought so much, fought on short notice. I've already been glazing him enough. Moving on. I've got Miktek Oralby. Yeah, I've got Miktek Oralby. I know there was a couple guys that I could have put here instead, but I wanted to give a good spot to Miktek Oralby. I love Miktek Oralby. Him knocking out Jack Hermanson and his submission win earlier in the year. I can't remember who that was. Damn, I should have written that down. He's improved dramatically, and I think that he's actually going to be a really high-level contender hopefully soon. I think we'll see him increase in skill level as we've seen him this entire year. Yeah, I wanted to show some love to Miktek Oralby and put him in my fighter of the year. There's plenty of other guys I could have given it to, but I wanted to put Miktek Oralby. I've got Merab Dvalishvili. Enough said, man. Nobody else. Everybody knows what I'm talking about here. Merab took all of these fights. He was such an active champion. Put on these absolutely spectacular performances. I don't understand the Merab hate. A lot of people have come around on him, including Dana White. And I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again this year. And then I've got Islam Makhachev. I was reluctant to put him on here. I was really reluctant to put him on here. Fought twice, very beginning and very end. If I feel like if he beat Arman Tsarukyan and Arman Tsarukyan did not drop that fight, I would with confidence put him here. I couldn't put Ilia Topuria even though he also became double champion. He only fought once, and it was a very short fight, and then just decided he just didn't want to do it anymore. I understand he's got personal things going on, but still. But Islam beating Renato Moicano, dominant submission, Darce choke, yep, and then the JDM win to become double champion. Yeah, man. I'm picking Merab. Obviously, I know the UFC also chose him as the fighter of the year, but he was my fighter of the year after the Sandhagen fight. He didn't even need to fight again. I would have said this is my fighter of the year. And he fights again. Even though he lost against Peter Yan, he still showed up and he still fought all 5 rounds. Even though you can say it was one-sided. I believe I said it was very one-sided. But still, we've got to give him his flowers. Merab Dvalishvili was the absolute fighter of the year. So these are all the categories I had. I had a couple ones that I wanted to put on here. Submission of the year. If you're interested, I absolutely have Roman Dolidze getting slimed out by Anthony Hernandez. That's my submission of the year. Honorable mention, Charles Oliveira over Mateus Gamrot. The other one was breakout fighter of the year. There's a couple guys that come to mind. I think you could arguably say Joshua Van, because a lot of people didn't know about this dude until now. Another guy you could say is Quillen Salkeld. Also, I know he's now on everybody's radar. Another guy that he's now on everybody's radar. Holy shit, Quillen Salkeld, he's the man. Those were guys for breakout fighter of the year. In my opinion, there's a couple other guys that come to mind, but that don't come to mind, but I just can't think of it. Event of the year, I already talked about that. I have 320, 323, and 317 as the best events of the year. And dang, I can't think of really what other categories I had, and I just felt like I didn't really want to put them on here because maybe I couldn't think of 4 things to put on there, or I just didn't want this video to be too long. But yeah, this is my awards. I know it's late. This is my UFC awards of 2025. Here's to a great 2026 for the channel. I hope to be very active. I hope to be posting 2 videos a week, hopefully. I know that we've only got a week left before fight week and everything, and I cannot describe how excited I am for the UFC to be back. So please look forward to my card predictions and recaps when these fights start again. And I think I'll post another video later this week. I don't know what it'll be on, but keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll post again later this week, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. So look for that, and then once the UFC is back, once we are back, please come back to the channel. I know that 1% of you guys make it to the end of the video. I know the one person who makes it here, so yeah, you're going to be watching. But If you did somehow make it to the end of this video without clicking off, after the first 10 seconds, which everybody does, I have analytics, guys, I can see this shit. After the first 10 seconds, everybody clicks off, and it's like, is my voice really that annoying? Yes. Um, but yeah, I'm very grateful for the channel. We received so many loving comments and so much support. We grew the channel from 0 to 35 subscribers in 2025, and this year we are going to hit 100 subscribers. We're going to hit 100 subscribers, and I've got a really awesome 100 subscriber special. Um, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for the support on 2025. Here's to 2026. I know this video is late. Thank you for your patience. I am back. McManusMMA fam. Peace.